What's up, everybody? FXP here, and I'm here with Alex, the Underground
Hello.
Vault. Today we're going to be doing our list, well, a list, I guess, top 10, our favorite top 10 MC duos.
Of all time.
Yeah, I guess of all time, I should say. I've always kind of felt like I'm not a big fan of lists, so let me just get that right out the way and say it off the bat. Mine isn't going to be in any kind of order. I don't know if Alex's is going to be in like any kind of order, but
Mine's in order. It
okay,
is in
so
order.
his is in order. I'm always difficult and weird, so
There's a lot that definitely could be interchangeable. It's a hard one to narrow down. And there was a lot of honorable mentions. I know you had a lot and I had like 30 or so. So
I have a lot of honorable mentions. I'm still kind of not feeling right about not putting some of the ones on there, but I don't want to take any ones off that I have on there. You know, it's hard. It's hard, especially when you got to do something like your favorite rappers, basically of all time, or duos, and it's kind of like a form of saying your favorite rappers of all time.
yeah, there's definitely a little bit of kind of formation within the list of placement wise. Like I know that number two has to be more so than number eight, but at the same time, when you go through like one, two, and three, they're pretty much interchangeable. Same with like six, seven, eight.
Yeah, I've always had, yeah, like I said, I've always had a tough time just narrowing down my number one spot from. I don't know. So, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go?
I can go first. So
Okay.
my number 10, I'll start from number 10, go up to number one. You can just list off your 10 whenever you go. But
Cool.
um, my number 10 is Ugly Duckling with Andy and Dizzy Dustin. My number 9 is this one was the only one that's kind of like this. Maybe there's two that are like this, but J. Rue the Damager and Afro Raw. They're not necessarily in a group, but they just sound really dope together.
Gotcha.
And Andre 3000 and Big Boy for Outcast at number 8.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7 is MOP, Lil Fame and Billy Danes, or
Mm-hmm.
Dan's. Number 6 is Ryu and Talk, Styles and Beyond.
I thought you were gonna have that on your list. That's not on my list, but I was debating on putting it on there, and I was pretty sure you were gonna have it. So sorry, go on.
It had to be on there.
Yeah.
Number 5 is the other one that's kind of like J. Rue and Afro Rob, but Necro and Ill Bill.
Yep.
They did have the Blood Brothers, but it didn't exactly come to tuition. But everything they do is still super dope. Organized Confusion at number 4 with Pharoah Monch and Prince Poe.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, Black Star, Mos Def and Talib Kweli. Number 2 is Self-Titled and Apathy, which I guess you can kind of call it, but they have had a full album together. So, and then number 1 is Prodigy and Havoc with Mobb Deep. Is my number 1.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, we do actually have a few similar choices here. So like I said, once again, my list is not gonna be in any particular order. It's just not even alphabetical.
Fair
okay.
enough.
Okay, so on my list we got EPMD. After that, Black
Okay.
Star, uh, MF Doom, MF Grimm.
Okay.
After that, we got the Beat Nuts, Juju, and Psycho Les.
That's a good one, actually.
Uh, yeah, that was one that I definitely needed. I love that first album, so I had to have that in there.
You messaged me that, and I didn't even think about it, but it didn't meet my top 10, but definitely an honorable mention.
Yeah. Okay, so after that, I got Helter Skelter.
Okay.
Um,
That's definitely in my honorable mentions as well.
After that, I have Cool Keith and Godfather Don, also known as the Cenobites. After that, we got Mobb Deep, Organized Confusion. After that is People Under the Stairs,
That's
Thess
a good
1
one as
and
well.
Double K. And lastly on my list is the Sebutones, which, if you guys don't know, is Buck 65 and 6'2".
I do actually know that, and I think I own one of their records.
Yeah, that kind of started off my whole kind of like abstract, weirdo hip hop love. Like kind of, I guess, Anticon and that whole thing. That's where my love of that came from. That was like the first group I heard like that. So I had to
See,
put them on there.
Buck 65 is from Halifax, and
Right.
last year I tried to pick up a lot of Canadian releases, and obviously me being from Nova Scotia, or not from Nova Scotia, but me living in Nova Scotia now, Buck 65 releases aren't too hard to come by, and even online as well, they usually go for pretty cheap. I picked up a bunch on Second Spin, so
Yeah, I
Um,
actually had a Buck 65 actually came out with his first album on
on
vinyl
vinyl.
this year for the first time, so I had to pick that up.
It's called Vertex, right?
Yep, yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
I seen one of the YouTubers, the one that I think you liked it, and that's the only reason why I ended up checking it out. But that there was a YouTuber that posted kind of a overcap of the release.
Yeah, Werner. His name's Werner. Pretty cool dude. Yeah.
He he used to work at the Source, was it?
Yes.
Or
Yep. Yep.
okay,
He used to work
so
at the
yeah,
source.
same guy.
Yep.
But yeah, he actually does really good videos as well. We can leave it in the description for this video, but
Yeah,
definitely check
definitely.
out his channel because he has a lot of really dope content, a lot of random rap stuff, but he's really knowledgeable.
Definitely. Yeah, we'll definitely leave his link in the description.
But yeah, we can get into some of our honorable mentions and then kind of discuss the list here.
Okay.
I guess for my honorable mentions, we had Method Man and Redman. I don't necessarily like Blackout 2, but Blackout 1 was so great, and I loved their chemistry together. It was hard to not put them on. Helter Skelter, like you mentioned, I'm a really big Sean Price fan, so
Yeah, me
it's
too,
hard
man.
to like rock and whatnot. Maybe not so much, but at the same time, I'm just a really big Sean Price fan, and they do sound dope together.
Yeah, them
Uh,
as a I'm sorry to cut you off. Them as a group, I think would be yeah, really dope. Even I want to say better than individually. Even though Sean Price is really dope individually, as a individual rapper, but I like them as a group is no comparison to like Rock's you know solo work. I think he has had a I know one album I can think of off the top of my head. I don't know if it was a
well,
mixtape or an album, but he did have something. So
I haven't heard anything rock solo. However, I have definitely heard him on Futures and whatnot. He's been on like Rusty Juck's projects and other um, Duck Down releases, but I've always been a fan of them together more so than Rock's kind of side stuff that he's done
yeah,
guest feature
exactly.
wise. But when it comes to Sean Price, I do like Sean Price's solo material. Like I love Mike Tyson. I just love all of Sean Price's material.
No,
He's always really dope.
I definitely agree, and I do have it right here actually. Rock had a mixtape I believe called "Rockin' Out West" from 2010. So if you guys want to check that out.
I'll definitely actually check that out. I
And
never even heard of that.
he also had an album in the same year, actually not the same year, I'm sorry, 2 years before that called Shell Shock from 2008.
I think I might have heard of that, but I definitely did not listen to it. I
So
think
yeah,
I might have heard it. I'll have to see the cover, but anyways, another one is Nas and Az. I definitely wanted to include them, even though they haven't done a whole lot of work together. I really love the sound, and they sound dope together.
I agree.
Um,
Yeah.
the big one, and I was surprised actually that this wasn't on your list, but Ghostface and Raekwon.
That was on my
Uh,
honorable mentions. That was one of those that I wanted to put in, but I didn't know who to take out instead, so I just had to put it on my honorable mention. So I definitely think that they have a chemistry that's basically unmatched. You know how it's just
yeah,
it's
it just
amazing. It's great.
sounds dope together. Dead Prez is kind of hit or miss, but at the same time, I wanted to put Dead Prez on there.
Yeah, I
Uh,
hear you. I hear you.
the Mad Child and Prevail, I like Swollen Members, so that was always kind of a runner up here. But I couldn't put they didn't quite compare to the top 10, but at the same time, I'm a big fan of the group.
Right.
Deacon the Villain and Natty the Cunning Linguist. I was surprised that that was not on your list either because we were kind of talking about that prior. I really did expect you to put on Cunning Linguist there.
I wanted to, man. It was definitely on my definitely like I said another one of those that would be in my like top 15 if we did that. It would be up there. Either that or even yeah. I just couldn't do it, man. Yeah, I love cutting so much, but it's just I
I hear you.
didn't
I
get
hear
in
you.
there.
It wasn't in mine either, and I really wanted to put them on. AC Alone and Abstract Rude, and then Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg.
Okay.
And like Dre and Snoop, they both had kind of shitty careers as of late, but at the same time, they've done really dope shit together. Oh, and also actually, Cool G Rap and Necro, they only did the one album, but they sounded so dope together. Like it was my favorite album of last year, and it would like I couldn't put it in my top 10 because it was such a recent release, and they only did the one project. But at the same time, I was a huge fan of that project, and I still am not a huge fan of Cool G Rap as a solo artist, but he just sounded right with Necro. Seemed like he had more energy, which I've talked about this album before, but that was one of my honorable mentions as well.
Yeah, man. I love that album as well. I think Culture Rap is I know I've mentioned before one of my favorite rappers of all time. If we I don't
Yeah,
really like using that term, but he is. He's definitely one of the greats, and he's definitely one of the Godfathers, I guess, to no pun intended of rap. So of that
And
gangster rap, definitely. So
yeah, for sure. And I definitely respect him as an artist, and I do really love the Godfather's album. So, and I like Cool G Rap. It's just he doesn't do the same for me as he does with everyone else. And there was a lot more honorable mentions as well. Like I know, I'm sure you're not going to list off all 60 or so that you had, but there was a lot more that I could talk about. Alucard and ID is another one that I really enjoy their material together, but they
okay.
don't quite meet that honorable mention spot even really. But I did write them down while I was going through. So
They do a
uh,
lot of work on that Creative Juices label, right? That's kind of what they're affiliated with.
yeah, ID I believe actually owns the label.
Oh, okay, okay, I didn't know that.
But yeah, there are Creative Juices material stuff, and then they also had a couple albums together. They had
Yeah, yeah, I know.
uh, and then Uncovered Remains or whatever. That was the compilation that came out in 2012, I think it was. But that was pretty dope as well. But that was just some like unreleased material.
Hmm. All right. So, do you have anything else, or is that it?
That was my honorable mentions. If you want to get into yours,
Yeah. So I kind of didn't. I should have probably kind of like checked off the ones that you mentioned because I didn't. But let me run through these real quick. Um, okay. So my honorable mentions. I'm gonna put Apathy and Self-Title. I have to. I'm not even gonna talk about it. You know why. I
yeah,
wanted to put them on my list, but they
they're
didn't
my
make
number
it.
two.
Yeah.
It's
I love both of those artists so much. I have, self-titled, just your favorite MC. Obviously, he's got some of the best punchlines ever, and
and
I just
Apathy is really up there in my favorite MCs too. Sorry to cut you off, but
no
like
problem.
he's top five as well, and or maybe not top five, but like top 10 at least. And I honestly was thinking about them like as like number eight or number seven or so. But what really put me kind of made it solidified as number two was their tracks like Root Beers in Your Fridge, and
Mm,
like like their chemistry while they're just joking around and just having fun like back in the day before before like the before the last couple years where they've been like AOTP and they've been a lot kind of harder.
right.
They just had a lot of fun on the mic and they put out some really kind of just quality fun gems and they just sounded so dope together. Like I don't know, root
No,
beers in your fridge. That alone makes it number two.
I agree, man. They always have fun on the mic, so yeah. Okay, so let me keep going here. I had MOP as an honorable mention. Got to have them in there. Um,
MOP's an honorable mention as well.
oh,
Or
okay.
actually, sorry, MOP was on my
I
list.
thought
Sorry.
they were. Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought they were.
okay. I was like, how the fuck did I forget MOP? But yeah, I didn't forget them. They were number seven.
Okay, and then I had, let's see, who else did I have in here? So let me just name a few here going down the list. I had Cannibal Ox. I've always loved Vastair and Vordel. You know,
Yep.
they're both great. Vordel doesn't get talked about as much, but I think he's a pretty dope solo artist as well.
I have a couple 12 inches by him.
Yeah, he had.
Surprisingly enough, I don't even really have too many 12 inches, but I do have a couple from Vortal.
Yeah, he's got I think, I believe two projects. He came out two full-length albums, so check those out. What else do I have here? I got the that you mentioned, the A Team, Abstract Root and AC Alone.
Yep.
That's one of my favorite West Coast projects of all time. Um, let's see, who else we got here? Grayskull, JFK, and Henri Osborne.
I had written that down, but it didn't quite meet my honorable mentions.
Yeah, no, I love him. Henri Osborne is just a really dope MC. Completely underrated, in my opinion.
Henri
Um,
Osborne's amazing. He put out what was the album that he came out with in like 2010? I'm thinking it had the orange cover with the little chick holding up the flowers. Had Ill Bill on it.
yeah, it's called No. Hold on for dear
Hold on for
life.
dear life. Yes,
Yeah,
that was a great album. I really liked that.
yeah, a dope ass album. So
And then the
after
Gray Skull, sorry, Zenith that came out last year was
Zenith,
fantastic as well. Holy shit,
yeah,
that was such a fucking great album.
yeah, man, it was. I wish more people would have talked about that, but hey,
I should have talked about that. I didn't, but I should have.
yeah, it is what it is. Um, After that, I had Grouch and Eli from the Living Legends.
I had written that down as well.
Yeah, gotta have them. Another one that I don't really hear too many people talk about, but I would love to see them work again, and they do have a couple projects together, is the Grouch and Lucky I Am, also from the Living Legends. The group is called CMA. Um,
I don't think I've heard them together as CMA.
yeah,
I've definitely heard them together on Living Legends material, though. I'm a pretty big Living Legends fan.
they have two albums. One is called Overall, and the other one is called All Over. So, Yeah, one from Overall came out in '99 and All Over 2005. So
I'm not a huge fan of Lucky I Am, I guess. I have the album that came out with in 2012. I forget the name of the album again as well, but it had that orange cover or whatever. It had like a circle on it.
yeah,
But
I
yeah,
have it right here. Yeah, I'll mention it in a second as soon as I see it. Time to Get Lucky.
yes, that's it. But
So
I wasn't a huge fan of the album.
yeah, it's not. I really enjoyed that album. I thought he definitely did his thing on it, and yeah, I
Maybe
want
I'll have to re-listen to it. I didn't give it a whole lot of shine, but I did listen to it. But I was at the time where I was listening to a lot of projects, so
rip. So a couple others I wanted to mention here real quick. We got where was I? Okay, the Artifacts, Elda Sensei, and Tame One.
that was written down too. I'm a huge Elda Sensei fan. Tame One, not so. Not that I don't like him, but I'm a huge fan of
Elda
Elda
Sensei
Sensei.
fan more. Yeah, me too. That's how I am. I'm more fan of his work. Atmosphere is not. They're not both rappers, but why did I put Atmosphere here? Oh, because when they first originally started out, they did have two rappers. They had
Yeah, they had
Slug,
Spawn.
yep, and Spawn. So that's why I put them in here. I wish they would have done more work with Spawn because he wasn't a horrible MC.
I like Spawn. Actually, what
But
Overcast is one of my favorites, just
yeah,
albums in general. So I definitely hear you on that.
Mad Villain and J Lib, I kind of grouped them together because they're both Mad Lib projects. One with Doom and one with Dilla,
Okay.
obviously, and everyone raps. So you know. What else do I have here just for quick honorable mentions? Run the Jewels, Felt, Mers and Slug.
I had written that down too. I actually had that written down as an honorable mention, but when I was copying over the list here, that didn't quite get put
Okay.
over.
Someone that I think you should check out is because we were just talking about him recently is John Robinson and Lewis Parker. They had an album, I believe in 2010 or 11 called International Summers.
I'll definitely have to check that out. I really want to end up getting into more John Robinson material because he was on that Mellow Music Group compilation. He blew me away, and I'm familiar enough with Lewis Parker. He's been around.
Yeah, he had an album that came out this year, one of my favorite albums of the year, a double album actually, called "The Puzzle Episode 2: The Glass Ceiling." So
You
if no one's heard that that's listening right now, definitely guys go check that out because I love that album and I can't talk about it enough.
you talked about that on your channel, eh? Like that was in your top
It
25.
was, it was.
Okay.
Yep. So I think that's it. Let me see if I have anyone else here that I want to really like talk about. I know we talked about this a little bit before we started recording. Hail Mary, Malin with I love Aesop Rock. I know you do too.
Yep.
Rob Sonic, that whole combo just works great together. Um, let's see. Okay, so a couple West Coast here MCs that I want to talk about that I feel don't get mentioned a lot at all. Um, Latif and Lyrics Born, also known as Latrix.
Yep.
Um, do you know who they are?
I definitely do. Yep.
Okay, so I'm not
I
really.
have a couple Lyrics Born releases, and I have one Latif project. Latif
The Truth Speaker.
the Truth Speaker. Yeah, that's it. Okay.
And then after that, I have LD and Ariano. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I've never heard of them. No.
Okay, they're more kind of in that. I believe they're from San Diego, that area of California. They're on a
Okay.
label called Technically Sound, and they always put out quality work. Ariano started kind of doing the what's his name? Um, wow, Block McLeod route, just doing
Hooks.
hooks, yeah. But also a dope producer. So, who else do I have here? Okay, so I don't know how to say. I only got a couple more here. I don't know how to say this guy's name, but I've always been a big fan of 2Mex, and he's in a group with Zolo Zeno.
Well,
Zola
let's
Zizino. Okay,
let's call them that.
the group is called Of Mexican Descent. They had an album out in 2001 called Exitos y Más Exitos. So that's the Spanish lesson for today. Something about exits and more exits, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm sorry, anyone who's Spanish. I butchered that. But yeah, Of Mexican Descent, 2Mex, and the guy that starts with an X. Check him out. Really dope stuff. And then I got. Oh, okay, so two more from New York here. We got Ultra, Tim Dog, and Cool Keith. So they did a group. I don't know if you've ever heard that album by them.
I definitely didn't. I'm not the biggest Cool Keith fan. I know that's a lot of people feel the same way, but I can't really get into a
Yeah,
lot of
you
this
either
material.
either like him or you hate him. I happen to like him. I think he did a lot of great stuff. And then
Like
last one, I'm sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Doctor Octagon was good, but maybe more just so on a Dan the Automator thing. And I listened to the instrumentals, the instrumentalist or whatever, a
Hmm.
lot more than I actually listened to the Doctor Octagon album. So
He's not for everybody. He's a weirdo, you know, and it's great. I love him for it. Um, and then we got my last one here is Saya and Yashua the poet. I know I pronounced that wrong, but
you were talking to me about them as well.
yeah, they are just a duo of MCs out of New York. Kind of came up on the whole Fondulum Records thing in the late '90s, or mid to late '90s, early 2000s when Bobito was doing that. And yeah, came out with a really dope EP called the Visuals EP, I believe.
There was a couple more that I guess neither of us mentioned that I had written down, but they didn't meet my top 10. I probably could have put them as honorable mentions, but I didn't.
Okay.
Zombie and Amp Live. I think I'm pronouncing Zombie right, but basically Zion I.
Zion I. Yep. Does
Like
Amp Live rap? I thought he was only a producer.
I thought he rapped, but maybe I have to go back and
Huh.
I
I thought he. Well, maybe I'm
you're probably right if that's the case.
because
Um,
I had that on my list too, but I didn't think that he. I'm talking about his like later stuff here. I know he. I stopped listening to Zion I a while ago. Okay, so but on the earlier stuff, I didn't think he rapped at all. So I could be completely wrong, but if someone knows, tell us in the comments or let us know that we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. Um, yeah,
we probably don't.
I'll have to check that out. But either way, Zion I is great group. You know.
Yeah, and Binary Star. I know it's not necessarily just a duo; they have more, but it's the tracks I'm speaking of or referring to. I guess would be like Onyx Expression. Now, there's one other guy besides One Below that spits often with Binary Star, and I had them written down, but I didn't really do much research, and I don't really know the group too well. But I've listened to a couple of their projects, and I'm a huge fan of Binary Star just from what I've heard. I really enjoy the material, but One Below and who's the other guy I'm speaking of? I know you know the name.
Hold on a second. I really wasn't ready. I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah, I know. No, I mean I know the guy's name. It's like Salmonella or Scylla or some. I don't know his name, but I know
okay.
it's something like that. Hold on a second. Let me look it up. I know who it is. I just don't know how to pronounce the damn name correctly.
Nate Dogg and Warren G was another one that I had on here.
Sun Samilla. That's I guess how it's
Some similar.
yeah.
Okay.
It's pronounced. It's spelled Senimsilla.
Does he have any like solo projects put out or
He does. He has one in 2007 that's called The Name, The Motto, The Outcome.
that's the only solo project he put
That's,
out?
yep, the only one that I could see. Unless,
That's dope though. I definitely have to check that out because I have been a big fan of everything that I've heard come out of Binary Star.
yeah, me
Even the
too.
Binary Star EP or whatever that came out last year, I actually ended up really enjoying that as well.
Yeah, it was alright. I was a bit disappointed. Maybe I just wanted more, considering how much I love their early work. You know, Waterworld and fucking.
It definitely wasn't as good at the same time. I enjoyed it. It was a quality release.
It was, yeah. That definitely wasn't like completely horrible. So
It's not like Zion I's recent projects.
no.
Anyways, yeah, Nate Dogg and Warren G was another one. It was hard for me to include that, but at the same time, they've done excellent work together.
Yep, they have.
And I could say that as well with like Nate Dogg and Snoop Dogg as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. You know, I agree.
There was a couple others like Slain and Ill Bill with La Coca Nostra. Um, they've like I really enjoy the Master of the Dark Arts a lot more than I enjoy the A Brand You Can Trust album. So I
Yeah, me
enjoyed
too.
them just as a duo.
Me too. Yep.
Um, and I guess that's basically it. Like the other ones you've already mentioned, like Gray Skull and whatnot, I had written down that weren't
Okay.
Grouch and Eli as well, Slug and Murs.
I actually do have a
Um,
couple more here, which I forgot to mention. Let me just say real quick. I have Ill Advised, which was Melee Sparks and Baby Black. I don't know if you're familiar with. I know you're familiar with Melee Sparks at all.
Melee Sparks I've definitely heard of. I'm not sure where I've heard of him from. Was he on any Snow Goons projects?
I believe he probably was. I don't know off the top of my head, but I think he was. He
I'm
has
I'm thinking that's where I heard him from.
he has about 4 or 5 albums out, I believe. But anyway, he lives in Denmark right now, and but back in the 90s, he had a group with this dude called Baby Black, called Ill Advised, out of Philly. I want to say it's Philly. Hang on a second. Let me just. Yeah, Philly. So yeah, mid to late '90s, they put out one album called "Can You Smell It" and a bunch of singles. I definitely recommend checking out the first single, "Through the Eye" from '96, or check out the album. Album came
Yeah, I
out
will.
in '97. So
I will. I will. Um, and I guess the only other one that I wrote down here that I don't think neither of us talked about, and again, it's another one that was sort of like the Godfather's album. They only put one album out, and it was last year. But I really, really enjoyed that Uncluded album with Kimya Dawson and A$AP Rock. I just thought they sounded great.
yeah, that was definitely one
I
of those
liked it.
albums where either you loved it or you
Or
hated
you
it.
hated it.
There was no middle ground on that one. I don't think. I didn't hear anyone say, yeah, it's all right. Either you liked it or you didn't like it. I liked it. I'm with you on that one. I thought it worked really well.
I'm really excited to hear more of their material, and they have worked together prior to the album. Like they were like A$AP's been on Kimya's last project, which I forget the name of now. I think
Yeah,
it's something about lightning stripes or something,
where
or
I
lightning.
first heard was I believe it was last year or 2 years ago. Let me pull out. I have a picture disc from Record Store Day.
Yes, they had the Bats. I think it was called.
Yes, the Bats track was on that along with the Atmosphere track.
Yeah,
So
that was the 2012 Rhymesayers Record Store Day
Store Day.
sampler.
Yep. It had
Yeah,
I'm looking at it right now. It has a toilet on it because Slug has their secret track on there where Slug tells a poop story where he clogs up a toilet. So
I probably heard that too. I'm not
um,
remembering it. I don't have the picture disc. It's a picture disc, right?
yeah, it's like
Yeah,
attached.
I don't have it, but I've definitely heard that track before.
Yeah, that's where I first heard it, and that's where I've been I really dug that track, and I was like, oh man, this project's gonna be great.
And what's it called as well? There was another project that, or sorry, it was off Skeleton that she appeared off the Crows Part 1 and 2, and then she also appeared on Racing Stripes, did she? I believe.
I don't know the
Or maybe
track.
just Crows Part 2 and then Racing Stripes, but she was on a couple tracks from the Skeleton
She
album.
was, yeah, she was, and I've always, like you said, I've always enjoyed her work with A$AP Rock. So yeah, definitely more stuff from them.
And Kimya Dawson had the track as well called Ride Like Thunder, I think it was called. Walk Like Thunder. Yeah, Walk Like Thunder. And it had A$AP Rock. It was like an 8-minute track, but it was basically Kimya Dawson for like 7 minutes. Then A$AP Rock came in at the last minute, and that was really dope. That was off of one of Kimya Dawson's projects as well. So they've
Okay,
collaborated a fair
okay.
amount.
I was gonna say, yeah, I never heard any of her solo stuff, so I might have to go check it out, see what it's like.
Yeah, I guess it's basically what you get on the Included without A$AP Rock, but it's the same type of shit.
All right, so I think
So
we've covered everything pretty well here. Let me go over my list one more time, see if there's anything I might have missed, even though I don't think so. Okay, there is one group I wanted to talk about. Even though it's not really a duo per se, but there's a group called Mass Influence out of. Why did I put them on here as a duo? They're out of Atlanta. Um, Really interesting. They're out of Atlanta originally, I guess, but both of their albums came out in foreign countries. Like their first one came out in the UK, the second one came out in Denmark.
huh,
Yeah,
that's
and
odd.
I don't know why. Why did I put them on here? I thought they were a duo, but I might be wrong. Sorry about that. Because I don't think they
No
are
problem.
a duo. It's a dope group nonetheless, but yeah, sorry about that. I guess they're not a duo. I messed that up. So
Did you have Styles of Beyond on your honorable mentions?
I did. I just I didn't mention it because you mentioned it. So
Yeah, fair enough. I figured that was probably the case for a few of them.
yeah, some of the ones that you mentioned I didn't. I tried to mention just.
Now, when I posted this on Twitter, because I posted it on Twitter, just like what are some of your favorite MC duos, and I guess a lot of the people that there were a lot of newer responses, but I guess Killer Mike and LP appeared a lot, and
Oh yeah, I
Vinny
forgot
Paz
about.
and Vinny
Yeah.
Paz and Ill Bill appeared a lot on there as well. But neither of them I could really put in my top. I love the Vinny Paz and Ill Bill album. I'm not a huge fan of the Run the Jewels album, but
I like
yeah,
Run the Jewels. I thought it.
I liked it. I wasn't crazy about it.
You know what it is? I noticed that I like. I'm not a huge fan of Killer Mike. I wasn't really. I went back to listen to his solo stuff after he came out with this with the his work with LP, and he sounds good over LP beats. And when they're rhyming together, he sounds good. He's all right. But when I went back to listen to his solo stuff, I still wasn't really feeling it. I don't know what it is about him. It's just not for me. You know.
I've listened to a couple of his solo projects as well prior to LP, and the one that I'm thinking of, it was like volume 2 of something like Monster, I think it was, or
I
something.
think it might have been called Monster. I don't know if it was like a volume 2 or what, but I believe it was called, yeah, it was called Monster from 2005, I want to say, or somewhere around there.
2003 it
Okay.
shows.
Okay. It
Uh,
was it was called Monster though, yeah.
and
Remember
then
that.
I think there was a volume 2 of it or something, but there was another album. Maybe it was a not Monster, but another album that he put out that was the Pledge Volume 2,
I
maybe.
don't know. I'm not really familiar with his work unfortunately, so.
Anyways, I listened to a couple of his projects and I feel the exact same way. He just sounds better with LP. Which, with that alone, maybe we probably should have mentioned him in this video.
Yeah, probably.
Just because he does sound, they sound good
They
together.
sound great together, I think. Yeah, I don't know why just it the no, I guess LP just he just makes a great
People
combination.
sound better
Yeah.
in general. But yeah, I guess that's it for the list. Unless you have anything more to really mention, I went over everything. You went over everything, I think.
Yeah, I think we did. I think yeah, that's it. I don't have anything else to talk about. So
So if you guys have anyone that's watching this, if you guys have any more to kind of throw in here or want to share your top 10 or top favorites of any sort, definitely throw it in the comments.
yeah, and we'll leave Werner's info in the description to his channel. Definitely
Yeah,
check
and
it
go
out.
subscribe to FXP as well, and subscribe to my channel if you guys are watching this.
Yeah, we'll
The
leave both
Underground
our
Vault.
channels in the leave both our
Yeah,
channels in the description in each other's description. So
yeah, and hopefully we can start doing more of these as well. Like this one's the very first time we've done anything similar to this, so we're
y-
kind of both sketchy on how to really format it. But hopefully we can.
yeah, sorry about that, guys. This one's probably going to be a little bit rough, but you know, first time, so cut us a break here.
Yeah, hopefully we can end up getting this a bit down pat, and we can continue to pump these out often because they're fun to do. We
They
can
are.
just kind of come on and talk about shit.
If you guys have any suggestions too for something you'd like to hear, please let
Yeah,
us know.
for sure, for sure. But yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Peace.
Don't you mean thanks for listening?
Thanks for listening. Yeah, thanks for subscribing. Peace.
Later, guys.